All right, I think that's everybody. Hi, I'm Jim Birch. I'm presenting today on holistic SEO and Drupal. If you want to follow along, the slides are available at this domain, jimbir.ch/holistic SEO, and they will live there forever. It's filled with links to a lot of good stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at the Jim Birch. And this, my friends, is Lego Uncle Jim. He was made for me by my awesome nephew Ben for Christmas a couple years ago. And he likes to travel the world and teach people about Drupal. And if you want, we have some Lego Uncle Jim stickers up here for your awesome laptops, so come grab one. So I want to talk to you today about SEO in Drupal and talk about the scale of what search has become. So just dive right in. Through this, I broke the presentation up into what is holistic SEO. I'm going to give some examples. We're going to get into the scale of what modern search has become. And when I say modern search and when we're talking about search, it is basically just Google. Then we're going to talk about the search engine ranking factors that Google uses, content strategy, and then we're going to get into some of the technical SEO things you can do with Drupal. So, Lego Uncle Jim went to Greece recently. Very nice. Holistic SEO is a term used to describe development in which content, marketing, technical SEO, performance, security, user experience, and user intent all come together to create an ideal URL on the internet about a certain topic. So basically, the whole package. Why are we taking a holistic approach? The first thing is that it defines a set of best practices that we can implement that ultimately benefits the user, the person doing the searching, and that's going to find our content. Years ago, we'd be able to do some tricks for get people to come to our website, get people to find our content, bless you, find our content in Google. The search engine algorithms have gotten so complex and they're starting to become intelligent that we're not going to be able to control or even predict these changes. Today's Google algorithm puts more value on topic and user intent than on keywords. Years ago, we could make a page on the internet that had specific keywords, and if we were good and our domain had good value, we could get that page to rank on the internet. Like my KR2FOW dog Udo 999, I got that to rank. Unfortunately, nobody's searching for it. There it is. These days, one piece of holistically created content can be returned for a variety of different keyworded search terms. So this page, houselogic.com's Guide to Hardwood Floor Finishes. It's listed for the following terms: hardwood floor finishes, wood floor finish, how to finish a hardwood floor, wood floor finishing, I think that was it, plus a bunch of other ones. It's a well-written article. It has a really nice domain that it's attached to. It's owned by Realtor.com. And it's a well-architected site. It has a big image on top. So it has an image that describes the words in the page. It has over 1,000 words. It has really good meta tags and JSON LD markup, which is a JavaScript meta tag equivalent. It's a very fast site. Page speed is very fast. It's responsive, so it'll work on the phone, and a few more that I'll get into later. So here's what the rankings pages look for. The hardwood floor finishes, it's #1 after the first 2 ads. Let's go back to this a second. So what I see here is primarily an informational search. I want to find out about hardwood floor finishes. Google's throwing in a little transactional box. So if you want to buy hardwood floor finishes, you certainly can. But if I was like an ad buyer, this isn't a very good educated term to search for to buy ads against. It's kind of a generic, like cars, like, you know. So on the right here, I have the basic types of searches. Navigational. I want to go someplace. I want to go to a domain, or more and more on your phone, I actually want to go to a place. Informational. I want to learn something. Or transactional. I want to buy or do something. So in hardwood floor finishes, where the first results, it is an informational search, but has some transactional elements. Has lots of informational links in there. We have similar results for wood floor finish. But Google's algorithm shows that people that search for wood floor finish rather than hardwood floor finish want to buy more. You know, they put the shopping box first on the page, giving it more value. Still, our page is #1 after the ads, and the rest is pretty similar, informational searches or search results. This is where, when I was doing the research for this presentation, it got really interesting, where how to finish a hardwood floor. We're on the page. Further down, the article in question isn't about how to finish a hardwood floor. It's just what hardwood floor finishes are and a different guide to them. No act of actually finishing hardwood floors. So it's the 8th result. The knowledge box that's on the page, that's this guy right here, where Google's pulling in content from a page. The videos on the page all have how-to in the name. And the other articles have how-to also. The knowledge box, the page that the information in that box is pulled from, is the same domain as ours. So the value of that article is actually, you know, probably playing off of the original search term that we're looking for. You know, but this is Google saying that this is good information for us to have. You know, it's related to the term. It's not exactly what we're looking for. And then similar results for wood floor finishing. Google definitely sees this as a transactional search. There's business listings. You know, that business map listing in there that shows 3 contractors that can come to my house and finish my hardwood floors. It has Yelp business reviews for my area and Home Advisor business listings, so that's 2 of the results right there. And then there's 2 contractor websites. So these contractors must be awesome at SEO, right? Because they're like the only little guys that are in this big search result. And our page doesn't fit in with this at all. You know, hardwood floor finishing, wood floor finishing, you know, this page is about information that you should have when you're thinking about finishing your hardwood floors, but it's kind of like secondary, tertiary information. But Google deems it valuable. So, you know, every Christmas I look for the little bub Yule time magical Yule log video. But I search for it with little bub fireplace. Google returns exactly what I'm looking for, even though the words little or fireplace don't appear in that page at all. So it's ranking for words that don't even exist anymore. So from these 2 examples, probably get an ad, but we can tell that Google is topic-based. It returns good content that's related to the exact terms, but not specific to that search term, like used to be. Google's semantic. It understands synonyms, pluralities, misspellings, homonyms, and more fancy words that I don't remember from high school English. And it's focused on user intent. What the user's trying to achieve by searching. Whether I'm trying to gain knowledge, whether I'm trying to buy something or go somewhere, Google is very focused on that. So let's talk about the scale of Google. In May of this year, a couple weeks ago, Google revealed that users make at least 2 trillion searches per year. 2 trillion searches. That is 1.67 billion per month, 5.5 billion searches per day, 228 million per hour, 3.8 million per second, 63,000 every second. It's like, wow. At least, they say at least 2 trillion. Rand Fishkin tweeted immediately after that response that he used what they said and his analytical skills. They have like a bunch of tools that they use. That it's probably 5.48 billion a day, or that's minimum. That they get closer to 8 billion a day, which would put it close to 3 trillion searches a year. This is only going to scale up. In an Inc. magazine article not too long after that, Google revealed that over half of those searches happen on the phone. So user intent, again, just the fact that it is on the phone tells Google something. Yeah. If you're searching on your phone, Google, tell me about dragons. They're going to give you a knowledge box, right? You don't want to click to another page and have to learn about dragons. They're going to give you the knowledge box so you can just learn about them. Or tell me about a dragon store. They're going to give me directions to a dragon store. Nearly a third of all mobile searches on Google are related to location. And location-related searches are growing faster than any other type of search. This is also a good one, too. More than half of all web traffic that Google Analytics tracks is now mobile, phone or tablets. So that kind of gets rid of a lot of the spam sites of the internet, right? Anybody that put Google Analytics on their website, is trying to find out who visits them or have at least some effort into it. So that brings us to search engine ranking factors. Know that we have the big picture about what's happening on Google. Let's get into the search engine ranking factors. These are on and off-site items that Google uses to evaluate our web page's placement in their results for a certain query. Each search engine has their own ranking factors. I guess we could talk about Facebook for a minute. Facebook's going to return their own properties higher than web properties if they even decide to show web properties. They're going to show users or pages, all depending on your term. Google, obviously. On occasion, Google publishes what these ranking factors are. It's not a public list. I'm going to show some companies that track and guess and surmise. But every once in a while, Google says, hey, pay attention to this. First one of recent note was Mobilegeddon. They said, your page needs to be mobile ready. Here's a tool where you can test your page to make sure it's mobile ready. Page speed. They had a page speed insight tool for years. They say, here it is, especially for mobile, make sure that your site is fast. And then on Tuesday of this week, 3 days ago, Google Webmaster Tools came out with a preview of what AMP pages look like in organic search. A preview of them. Now, AMP is not a search engine ranking factor yet, but page speed is. So if an AMP page is faster than a non-AMP page, AMP is a ranking factor, basically. All of these are linked if you want to go to the original articles. I would recommend at least subscribing to Google Webmaster Central. They have an RSS feed. It's a blog spot. They post information Not frequently. It's at least once a week, maybe twice a week. But good stuff to be aware of. Here's the kicker. Ranking factors may be ranked differently for each and every search term. So, the fact that we saw the map listing in one and a knowledge box in another, of all these ranking factors, there's no one magic secret sauce of if you have all your H1s right, if you have your page speed right. It's a conglomeration of all of these different things, and it could be different for every single search term. In a video chat, a Google employee stated that links, content, and rank brain are the top 3 ranking factors. We'll get into actually how many ranking factors there are in the world. But links, content, and rank brain. We'll get into links first, because this one's easier to understand. It's what it's always been on Google, links to your website. Quality of links, if CNN links to you, golden. If, a bunch of Viagra sites link to you, not so much. Is the keyword in your link? Same thing that it's always been. The quantity, the number of links that link to you. Good. Content. Does your content have quality writing? Google can figure it out these days. I used to have go to a affiliate marketing meetup in Chicago, and these guys would do all sorts of things just to get affiliate links, $5 to sign up for this. And they would one of the guys said, he takes his competitor's content, puts it into Google Translate it from English to Italian, Italian to Spanish, Spanish to German, German back into English, and then he put it on WordPress sites, build links, and link back to his website. Really cool stuff. All the keywords stayed, but the words were unintelligible. It wasn't duplicate content. Google can now use tools to figure out the quality of your writing. Is it 3rd grade level, 5th grade level, 7th grade level? I am scared to put my own content in there. Keyword research. So what are we writing about? Web writing has always been about the keywords, and it's still a factor. It's just not the most important one. But you do need to do your keyword research using tools that look at how these terms you want to use rank in Google, who's ranking for them, where there's opportunity to write for them. Maybe you're using the wrong words to write. You want to use synonyms or other things. Freshness, how old the content is. New content beats old content. Images, video, and news related to the content or the topic or the vertical that you're in. So if your website is about insurance, you pull in good insurance videos, good news, basically just related content that's pertinent to what the user would want. As we move to the phone more, does the content answer questions? And this is a big one with user intent. No more should we write like, here's the thing and here's all the facts about it, but people are searching to answer their questions. So if you can pose it in a question, if you can include the question, it's ranking well these days. And then the third, rank brain. What is rank brain? So rank brain is a machine learning artificial intelligence system. If rank brain sees a word or phrase that it isn't familiar with, the machine can make a guess as to what words or phrases have a similar meaning and filter the search results accordingly, making it able to return search results for what Google's never seen before. And basically, this is the first step in artificial intelligence. It's machine learning, so it is making decisions. Google engineers can stop it and review what they're doing, what it's done, but really, it's kind of on-the-fly search engine, which is a first in Google. Usually everything was laid out before and reviewed, and they would have big algorithm updates. Now the robots are taking over. Some really good articles on it and how AI will change the face of search in the future. How do we know about search engine ranking factors? There are certain companies that want you to use their services that follow them, and there are industry websites that follow them. Search Engine Land is a great blog publication about all things search. Search Metrics and Moz are two companies that have keyword tools. Basically, they index Google and track what is happening in there. Backlinko is another service company, I believe. And they all put together cool ways of looking at it. This is Search Metrics ranking factors from last year. They both broke it into a deck of cards and put values on it. They break it into a few different categories: content, user experience, technical, backlinks, and social. The Search Engine Land, they broke it up into a periodic element of SEO success factors. This one's pretty broken down even more. It has on-page on the left and off-page on the right, and then categories very similar to what Search Metrics has: content, architecture, HTML, trust, links, and social. Moz comes up with like a very scientific study, and they only do it every 2 years. There's a link to it. It's pretty stiff stuff, but good to just peruse and see. Backlinko has a really good holistic piece of content called the 200 Ranking Factors, the Complete List by Brian Dean. And I mean, it's one page that has all 200 ranking factors. There's no more pagination. This is the list. And it goes through, and it's 200 ranking factors, and it says, this is bunk, this is good, this I saw in a video that Matt Cutts posted in 2007. It's a good read. It's not gospel, but it's a good thing to go through. So, there are plenty of ranking factors, and ranking factors can be organized differently to the search term. So there's no way to like game the system. Just know that all of these things matter, basically. In this conversation, when I usually have it for clients, we want to rank for a certain keyword. Well, we want to define, if they're ranking for that, we want to define what they're looking for in their content strategy. Usability.gov has a really cool page of content strategy basics. And we're going to talk today about just the content-oriented components. There's also workflow-oriented components in content strategy. Who's going to do what, who can publish what, when we're going to publish it, that kind of thing. But we want to identify goals of their content. What is this company trying to achieve by making content for the internet? We need to focus on those pieces of content. I'm not going to make a video library for a company that only writes, vice versa. And then we're going to determine the structure. Not only are we going to determine the structure of how the content is organized in like the sitemap or the main menu, but on page also. So when we're identifying goals, who are the users the client wants to visit the website? What content is the client going to be able to create and publish? And who are the client's competitors and what content they're ranking for? That's where those tools come in handy. So if I published magazines and I had a competitor magazine, I'd put their URL in the search engine tool and see what keywords they're ranking for, see what articles they're writing about, and then see if there's any opportunities there, or we're going to write about something else. And here are some tools for content creators. The Google AdWords Keyword Planner. This has long been a tool of SEOs to put into Google to see relevant search terms. However, because Google is not paying attention to exact keyword terms these days, it's not completely accurate. It's just an estimate now. Searchmetrics has a tool called Essentials. Moz has a tool called Pro Keyword Explorer. Those are both pay tools. And then Readability Score. This is the website I won't go to see. But it's pretty cool. You paste in your words and it'll judge you. Okay, so when we get down to content structure, this is why we love Drupal. We can make our content types and our entities, our blocks or fieldable panel panes or however we want to do it. We can define the sitemap, what pages and the URL structure. We can define the functionality of the views that we're going to use on the site. And we can start defining, once we have those things defined, we can use entity reference fields to bring them all together. So if I have a video content type or a video block or a video media entity, I can reference that from a page or a blog post or anything like that. So I want to identify all my different pieces of content and then bring them into one big article that I can write, whether that be a page, a blog post, a news article. So entity reference fields, long been the awesome sauce that makes Drupal in core and Drupal 8. Inline entity form. This is a ridiculously awesome module. So I'm writing an article and oh no, I need to put a little bub video in the middle of this article. Well, I don't want to stop making the article, go over here, and now I have to make a video content type node, and then come back to the article and edit it in. Inline entity form says, do you want to add a new one? You want to add a video? Or do you want to select an existing one from the library? So it's a really great tool for users to create content inside of other pieces of content. It's developed by the commerce team, where they had to make variations of a product inside a product. Well, I want to make a t-shirt, but then I have to make blue and red and different sizes. So really cool module. Paragraphs, there was a paragraphs session earlier. This is a great way to build reorderable custom entities that can reference other pieces of structure. So I could have image at the top, and then I could have a body field underneath, and then I could have a video, and then another body field, and then another video. And I can use reference fields inside the paragraphs to build all this, and then I can rearrange them however I want also. And then the token module. Token module can be used to bridge all these entities using meta tag and JSON LD views. So now that I know this is a video, I can take that video information and use it in my meta tag. So this has a video, or use it in my JSON LD. So we'll get into that right now with technical SEO best practices in Drupal. And isn't this a great rubber duck? Together, let's celebrate everyone's achievements. Okay. Is your site easily crawlable? This gets into the sitemap. Well thought out menu. Are breadcrumbs marked up with schema.org? XML sitemap module, and friendly URLs from the Path Auto module. And your friendly URLs should have the same structure as your menu. So if you have products and then you have product slash product name, article slash blog or blog slash blog name, it's always good to keep that structure throughout your build. Don't have any duplicate content on your site. Redirect module is fantastic. If you change the title of a piece of content in Drupal, the path auto can change also. So you want to have the redirect module to make sure that the old URL redirects to the new URL. The meta tag module, you can set the canonical URL. So if this piece of content is used in multiple places or it has different URLs on the site, you want to set the primary one. Does the site work on mobile? Yes, every site works on mobile. Does it pass the Google mobile friendly test? You should test your home page, your detail pages, your category pages. This should go into your testing regime because it doesn't work on mobile unless Google says it works on mobile, and that could exclude you from mobile searches, which, as we know, are 50% of at least 3 trillion searches a year. Does the site load quickly? All the DevOps people that were in here earlier can tell you about all the awesome caching things that you can do in Drupal to save time and space. Content delivery networks are great. Everybody familiar with what CDNs are? Yes? No? Content delivery networks take a snapshot of your page and puts it on computers around the world. So a user in San Francisco is going to get the page served from San Francisco. User in Germany is going to get the page served from Germany. Cloudflare is a really easy to set up one, and it has a free level and a $5 level and a $20 level, but there's a lot of services like this. So basically, by serving cached pages closer to where they are, you definitely increase the speed of your site. Make responsive images, or the smallest image sizes you can in Drupal image presets. This is probably the biggest weight of web pages is images. Does the site contain keywords in the URL? Yeah, use the path auto module. I'm sure everybody does. Yeah.
Back on the side, what's your definition of quickly?
What's my definition of quickly? I think it depends on the piece of content that you're talking about. Just like standard Drupal pages, article pages, I hope for 2 seconds or less, which is very slow in some people's eyes and very fast in others.
Didn't analytics at one point give you a ranking on how quick you are? I thought it did. Right?
Yeah, well, there's also Page Speed Insights Google tool that can tell you also. But, it's such a loaded question because what does the content strategy have about this page? If you're logging in, if users are logged in and you don't have any caching strategy and you're loading 8 different JavaScript libraries to serve 8 different ads, then and that's part of the content strategy. Yeah, I don't think there's one good answer, but I like 2 seconds. That always makes me feel good when I can get below. Yeah, path auto module. Is the site secure? HTTPS is a ranking factor. Every website we make from now on should be HTTPS. You can 301 redirect, your HTTP to HTTPS, but you will lose ranking factor, or you lose search engine placement as you do. You always lose a little juice when you 301 redirect pages. So if you go from non-SSL to SSL, your client will get a dip. So there's a lot of SEOs that do rolling strategies. They'll make some of their site HTTPS and then another section and then another section. So they don't take all that dip at once. But if we're doing new sites, buy an SSL certificate. It's, the cost. There's actually free services out there. If you use Cloudflare, you can HTTPS for free because it's their connection that's serving it, and that's one of the services they offer. But yeah, if you're starting fresh, there's no reason not to. Keep core and all modules up to date. We know the downsides of that. Limit server access and keep the server up to date if it's not managed hosting. So if you're hosting on Rackspace Cloud or DigitalOcean or any number of these AWS instances or EC, it's your responsibility to not only keep Drupal up to date, but it is your responsibility to keep the server up to date. That's why I like paying people to manage my own servers. And then require strong passwords. Most security problems come from just bad passwords and dictionary attacks, where a user can, or a hacker can just run a script that tries 10,000 words on your website, and they'll come back every day for a year while they parse all their websites. There's a module called Require Strong Passwords where you can set up password pools for your users so they don't set their password as password. Does the page title contain keywords? So that's the HTML page title. Set that up in the meta tag module. Does the meta description describe the pages? We have a tendency in Drupal to just use the teaser of the body field, the summary of the body field, to be the meta description. This usually does not describe the page. I like to give my content creators a teaser field. This is another field just on the top of the node creation that I use with token to place it in the meta tags. This is a way that we're defining what this field is. And I actually throw it at the bottom of the page, like in the footer, where it's more good keywords about this domain. So, not the content of the page, but what is, as somebody looking through Google or on Facebook when it gets shared, or Twitter, what is this page about? It's a great way to get your user or your content creators to step back and actually think about, what their content looks like from the outside. Usually they're focused on what it looks like from the inside of the article. So yeah, just adding a teaser field and defining, say, hey, this is the teaser field that gets used in Facebook. Yeah.
Did you say you actually add what you put in there to the footer?
I do, yeah, because it's additional good keywords on the page. Yeah, Google will, in the SERPs, will display about 155 to 175 characters, but there's been a lot of studies that they'll read up to 300 to consider it. So, not on every site, I don't put it in there, but if there's space, usually if the client wants a footer, I try to talk clients out of a footer because it's just more words on a page that nobody ever reads, and the words don't change ever. Now I can put some content in there that is different on every page. The same thing goes for a featured image field. I use this for the Open Graph and Twitter card meta images. I think Google has one now for Google Plus, for the 3-4 people that use that. This is where I don't often use this image in the page, but I do set it as this. So like every piece of content, because of Facebook and Twitter, it should have an image to go along with it. If we do place it, this is the big header image at the top of the page. If we don't have that in the design, we can just set the image, set it in the meta tags, and forget about it. People will see it if it's shared. It doesn't need to be on the page. Does the site use structured data? Now that I have paragraphs and my entities set up, I can use these schema.org markup to define what these things are. So if I have a video paragraph, I can say div item scope item type equals schema.org/video. And then I can come in and take the individual pieces of what a video is. This example is a broadcast service, basically a TV affiliate. So the first wrapping div adds the schema type broadcast service. Then each schema has their different attributes in there. So name is usually always there. This is WAAY TV. You have the broadcast display name. They're an ABC affiliate. Video format, SD or HD. The time zone that they're in. The affiliate of ABC URL, I believe. Yeah, there's another nested item prop here. So this is broadcast affiliate of, and then it uses the schema.org organization, and then inside of that is another one that's another name that says ABC. So if you go to schema.org, there are now hundreds of different definitions. We started with this when it was just e-commerce. We wanted to define products and product attributes, but now you can define almost any piece of content on the web. So this is really, structured data is kind of semantic markup for the modern age. You know, it's not just divs and p tags. You know, this is saying this chunk of code right here is a broadcast television network. Schema is big in recipes. It's how a lot of those knowledge boxes are built. Really handy to nerd out over looking at your client's content, how it can be done. This is what the JSON LD, the JavaScript object notation JSON for linked data. Basically, it's the same thing, but in JavaScript language. So we have the script, we have the context is that it's a schema.org, the type is broadcast service, and the rest is basically the same. Why two different methods? Well, we don't have just web pages anymore. JSON LD was developed for apps. You know, and some apps can rank in search engines. They call them deep link apps or whatever. Sometimes meta tags aren't available. If you're loading content in a Ajax, not Ajax, but a React JavaScript layer, you know, you're not only refreshing the page as meta tags, you know, you're bringing in little chunks at a time. And this information can come with a little chunk. How we've done it. We've made a view block, view pane if you do panels like we do, and then we use a contextual filter for that entity, and you can just, you know, print that right on the page because it's JSON output. You don't, you know, the user doesn't see it. Okay, proper use of headers. Proper ordered use of H1s, H2s, H3s. You know, while the spec says you can have multiple H1s on a page, you should really have multiple H1s. If you do multiple H1s, you need to have them in sections or articles. I prefer to actually just use semantic ordering and, you know, use of what is on this page. So what does that mean? I like to have one H1 at the top, and then 2s, and then 3s, and then not a 5, but actually another 2 or a 3. This is good for accessibility. It's also good for SEO. So, you know, we have a page title in Drupal, and we set this in the template or our panels. Remove the H1 from the WYSIWYG. You know, don't let your users add H1. You can add a style called class equals .h1, but don't let them have the actual H1 tag. In the theme, I always go in and remove the H3 from the block headers. This is default Drupal stuff. Every theme has H3 class equals block title. Yeah, this is not the third most important piece of content on the page, especially when blocks are just usually reused all over the place. So I go in and I do change that to div class equals block title or div class equals block title dash H3 or, you know, whatever we want. But I don't want that to be an H3. All right, we are getting down to it. Turkish coffee is really good. Here are tips and tools for developers. Google defines best practices. It's a whole like little microsite of awesomeness, good tidbits of information. And they update it. So click on that link for sure and just read through. It's really nicely designed. It's a good piece of SEO content. Google has a structured data testing tool. So if you have structured data on your site. You can have Google scrape it, you can have Google read it and tell you what it actually sees. Really good to test. Google Structured Data Markup Helper. On the flip side, if you're building all this stuff out, you can put in your data and it will output schema so you can then make your HTML look like that. Mentioned before, Google Page Speed Insights. Put you in your URL and see how fast it is. The Google Mobile Friendly Test. Test multiple pages, test often. If you do an email, they also have a schema markup tester for emails. So if you're an Android user or a Google Inbox user or Gmail user, and you're wondering about how it knows about your trip to Coralville, Iowa, Marriott does a nice markup in their email. So you can put in your email markup and see how that looks. Google Search Console, this is Google Webmaster Tools rebranding, and they have so many things you can do. You can look at crawl errors. Google tells you what's wrong on your website. Look at it, fix it. Fetch as Google, if you're doing a new page right now, you can actually get them to go look at it. Pretty cool. That's how I got them to rank in my little dog thing that I put in earlier. Test your robots.txt, submit your sitemap so they know about it, and then you can configure URL parameters. I've never had to do this, but you can actually tell Google if you're putting in like ID equals gobbledygook that has no pertinent relationship to this page, you can actually ask them to not include that so you don't get duplicate content in the search engine. Here are some great places to stay up to date. Search Engine Land, I mentioned earlier. Search Engine Journal. Search Metrics blog. The founder and a bunch of experts always right there. Moz blog, which is pretty awesome. The 3 big employees that work there always post stuff, and then they actually have a community of SEO bloggers, and they'll promote those community blog posts up to the main blog. So it's always good to get one of those. And then Google Webmaster Central. And that's it. Slides will always be available at that link. Anybody have any questions?
When you're talking about images, or kind of improve SEO, is it just the fact that you have an image, or are there attributes that you
Alt keywords in the alt text, not title text, file name, and the fact that there is an image. Yeah. So you can definitely get more keywords in there. Don't stuff it. Just describe it as you normally would. And then what a lot of people don't do is the image file name. Which is
I guess coming from university background, the title makes sense, right? It's more difficult to be less description of the actual image itself, and more in context to I guess why the image is on the page.
Okay.
So,
And yeah, I mean, well, there's probably the accessibility angle there, and then the SEO angle also. So there's always kind of a hybrid of those two things. Yeah.
When you were talking about Google ranking on quality of writing,
Mm-hmm.
is that a straight ranking, or is that a perceived ideal quality of writing based on the search term?
So it is one of the ranking factors. Whether it's used in your particular search term or my particular search term could be a factor. It's random. We don't know which terms are used. There's no way to know. Just know that longer content is definitely trending right now. the first time I ever heard about holistic SEO was I was at a presentation that Marcus Tober of Searchmetrics gave, and he had an example of how to hard boil an egg, and how to soft boil an egg, and how to cook an egg. And 5-6 years ago, if you were to search for those different terms, you would have gotten 3 different about.com articles. And I don't know, everybody remembers those terrible articles that were just written to grab those keywords, and they had 200 words in there, and they're just enough. And then, now if you search any of those terms, the same one blog post shows up, and it has big, beautiful images, and it has a YouTube video of how to cook it, and it has schema markup of a recipe on how to cook it, and it's this long, and it's a really great page. If I wanted to know about cooking eggs, I could definitely go to this page and learn it. So, is quality of writing a ranking factor there? Probably. Sure.
What about popularity of other people clicking on a link?
So that is a ranking factor. There's a lot of social at the bottom of all of the ranking factors. Social links. Just the fact that those links exist is the #1 ranking factor, right? It's links, content, and rank brain. Yeah. So the links existing. If an article gets shared on Facebook and Twitter publicly, where Google can see it, a million times, those are some decent links. The only problem with that is that they're fleeting links, right? They don't last forever. That's the freshness of part of it. But yeah, social signals is a ranking factor.
I guess what I was referring to is I had always assumed that if you Google how to hard boil an egg and 10,000 people in a row click the 5th item in the list, that one would bump up to 4, 3, or 2. But are you suggesting that maybe that's less of a factor and more just?
I'm saying that it's a ranking factor, and less or more would be for the individual term.
Okay.
There is no one right answer. It's
okay.
Yeah. But I would say if 100,000 people were clicked the 5th result today, I'm sure an engineer at Google would be looking at that.
Okay.
But if you search the term how to boil an egg, and you wanted to have the best how to boil an egg site, you look the results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try to
emulate what they do.
Emulate or
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah, and put the search terms into these tools that would, tell you, which of the words are ranking, or if how to boil an egg is, even the right search term to rank for. Maybe we don't, try for how to boil an egg, but we try for how to soft boil an egg. That's another way of saying it, right? And we could gain traction there. So that keyword research is still very important. Like, I'm never going to rank for cat videos, ever. It's taken. Those words are filled. There's 10 results on that page, all by people with more links and more respect than me. But maybe I could search for cute little orange cat videos, or something more long tail. So yeah, the content, to get back to your original question, the content quality is pretty scary, right? This is a machine judging what I wrote, but it is also pretty great that, somebody getting 5 cents an article to post on these garbage information sites, or, Yahoo Answers, where people just write stuff all day, and I'm going to say stuff nicely, about, so they get more points or something, or whatever, gets those people to do that. I would hope the content that I write would be treated nicely, and
So
magazine articles that people write, that people get paid to write, would be.
So if you have an area of expertise or an idea, and you Google search that, and Yahoo Answers is the first thing that comes up, You probably got a pretty good shot.
You
at
probably
capturing that.
has an opportunity to capture those keywords.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like on my blog, I write a little bit about WordPress, but I mostly write about Drupal. And you know, I had a developer come to me the other day, and she said, you know, I searched for you know, this stuff 3 times last week. Your blog came up. I was like, all right. Anybody else?
Do you have any experience dealing with Facet API?
The Facet API, no, I have awesome developers that I work with that handle faceted search and solar search and all that stuff. Yeah. No, as to the specifics of search engines, I do not know.
Any inclination or tendency between the JSON LD style versus the data entry style?
No, but I'm leaning towards both.
The more structured data, the better.
Yeah, you know, and you know, granted, I've never built a Facebook kind of reloading site, so I've never actually had the need for the JSON LD. But yeah, now that I know how to do it, why not? It's, you know, it's extra markup on the page. It's not going to slow it down that much. You know, once everything's cached, it's beautiful. So, and you know, if you are doing things like paragraphs and stuff like that, it's really, you know, good to hook into it.
Does your slide deck rank on Google?
I don't know.
The slide share is the first thing that comes up for.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, slide share.
Yeah.
No, but this is on his slide.
This is on my
Yeah,
site.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to look at that.
Slide share, right?
Yeah, SlideShare's got some domain rank more than jimbir.ch. But that's way cooler than SlideShare.
I have a question. I had a lot of clients who think that the amount of time you put stuff is not pretty big. Like, what's your take on as far as how often that's used?
I would say none, and you could send them that backlinko page that I linked to earlier. And yeah, I haven't put that in a website in years.
I've actually heard that if you try sneaking in keywords will make your company actually
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, yeah, that trick was long ago, and if it is in there, they may look at it, you know, poorly. Yeah, no, I'd have them concentrate on writing better things if they can. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that for years that worked, right? Just like the translating content and, you know, setting up WordPress, you know, multi-site instances where you could just create 1,000 links back to your website in a day. But then they figured out, oh, all of those sites are on one server on GoDaddy, and they're all pointing to your one website. You know, so Google's pretty smart. And now they have robots, you know, that are doing all this. So, anyone else? Awesome. Well, you know, find me later when we're playing cornhole if you got any more questions or just want to talk about this stuff. Love it. Thanks for coming.